I realize anytime I feel like I'm so connected to this person, like it's
Hmm.
probably my soulmate, I
I
get
mean,
scared. I
well,
see this as a warning sign, like,
you
watch
do.
out. It's too good to be real.
Well,
Yeah, come talk with us. I say TW. That's what's up. Yeah, come talk with us. I say TW.
Hello, guys. Welcome back on Talk with Oh Sassy. If you're new here, welcome. Are you returning? Welcome back. Guys, I'm so excited to have you guys on the show again. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, click on the bell notification so you'll be the first to be notified whenever we upload a new video. Today on Talk with Osasi, we have invited an incredible man. He is a relationship coach, he is a life coach. He has helped so many people rediscover their authentic self and connect with their true nature. Guys, today I introduce to you Wilton Millard.
There is no such thing as a negative emotion. We have good feeling emotions and not so good feeling emotions, and all serve us in different ways. Unfortunately, we spend many hours trying to avoid the feelings rather than embracing them and using them to our advantage.
hello.
Hi, Millard. Good evening. Welcome on
Hi.
Talk
How
with
are you?
Osasi. I'm great. Thank you. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show. Thank you so much for
It's good to
coming on
be
the
here.
show.
It's good to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful.
And you can call me Mill if you want, because most people call me Mill. So
Definitely.
feel
Sounds
free.
okay. No problem. Yes, Mill. So, for those that are seeing you for the first time, can you please tell us more about yourself, your journey, your career, etc.?
Yeah. So I like to call myself. I know you eloquently explained that I was a life coach and a parenting coach. I like to call myself, um, and this is a recent thing. I like to call it more of a mindfulness coach now, and more of a mindful parenting coach. I think is how I kind of look at it, or mindful relationship coach. So, and I've kind of been in the field for a long time as far as working with people, and I started, or I guess you could say from like birth, really. I think, but but I think professionally,
Mm-hmm.
you could say my career kind of started when I was about 21, and then I started working in various professions in the social work field, working with people
Mm-hmm.
with disabilities, people with poverty issues, people with cultural disadvantages, people with of all demographics, I guess, criminality, everything. So I guess
Mm-hmm.
that progressed into social work, and then that later progressed into what I would call now is mindfulness coach.
Wow. Beautiful. So, how did you got started?
How did I get
Was
started?
this something you've always wanted to do?
I would say that what I've always wanted from day one was to always help people. I think because from a very early age, I would say I was pretty much exposed to all kinds of issues that you wouldn't normally experience or you wouldn't be exposed to at a young age. But with my parents fostering, we did have a number of diverse situations
Mm-hmm.
that kids came from, and they would be sometimes younger than me, sometimes older than me,
Mm-hmm.
and I often listened to their story, and I was intrigued by the story. I was always curious by the
Mm-hmm.
stories that they would tell, and when I could look at my own life and I could look at the adversity experienced at an early age, I could also compare it and sometimes think, whoa, if I thought mine was bad or anything like that, then I could say, these people have had way more of a challenge to overcome than I did. And so I was always curious, how can I better help people? And there were so many opportunities to see how people were kind of being helped, supported, but at the same time being disenfranchised. And so it was always that was my first step. And then the next step was, well, where can I go from here is go into social work. And so my experience of social work was kind of, it wasn't quite the experience that I was hoping for when I got into be a social worker. And so everything from that point was me just saying, right, well, I need to know how to better meet the needs of the people I'm serving. And I didn't always feel that I could do it from the capacity of a social worker all the time. And I would say, social workers have a great role. And I would say that they do an amazing job, the vast majority of them. And I would say, I would never want to say anything bad about that profession. For me personally, it just didn't seem to align with me.
Okay. Interesting.
So I kept moving on, and I kept trying different. I exposed myself to different situations. So I worked in a custody center. I've worked with kids in group settings. I've worked with kids on, with disabilities, and it was just a marvelous journey. But I would say that, I wouldn't always say that my journey was all about my profession. It was my personal life. There were little bits in there that would constantly come up that would take me to a new direction and give me a new insight into how I can better help people.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So should we say going or experiencing all of this shifted you to self-discovery?
Absolutely. I couldn't have put it better. Because self-discovery is everything. And what I came to learn was the most important thing was I had to fix myself, so to speak. I wouldn't say fix is the word. I would say I had to be mindful of how I felt and mindful of what I was taking into every situation when I was with other people. And once I developed my own sense of self-alignment, I think that's when things really started to take off. And that's when I realized, I guess, how I could best serve other people. And the beauty of it is, it rather than look at it like I'm helping other people, it's kind of like a symbiotic sort of reciprocal agreement we've got going on, where when I'm with somebody else, it's a two-way street. They're just as much connecting with that in me that needed them as much as they need me, so to speak. So it's a beautiful kind of situation where it was a little bit different than the perspective I had as a social worker, where I kind of was almost thinking I'm coming into the situation as the professional who, in some cases I would say I sometimes thought, I know better, but what I've learned is when I could humble myself and realize, it's not about what I know. It's not about what I think I know, actually, more than anything. It was more about where are they in their journey. So, and how much disparity is there between where they are now and where they're trying to be. And that's where I think a lot of the issues come up for people is that disparity between where they are and where they want to be. And I also can look at myself and say, well, let's look at me. Like, who am I to be thinking I know any better? It's more a question of who are they? Yeah. That's when I started learning.
So self-awareness, self-discovery helps you better understand yourself in connecting with others.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It absolutely does. I mean, I've had some really key moments in my time. Like one of the times I'm going to say when I spoke to my grandma. Let's go back a bit. I'll go back a bit. I'm an American citizen, right? So I was sort of born an American. I lived in America for 6 years, and then I moved to England when my mum married an Englishman. And now I'm living obviously in North America now. But when my mother married an Englishman, and so my grandma, being from the US, she would come over for about 3 months every 2 years, and she had a very specific way to be. And she liked her classical music. She liked her country music, which I could never understand at the time. I like a bit of country now, but and she was also very hugely religious. And I never felt there was a connection. And when I was about 21, 22, I realized something. And I realized I had a curiosity just to know a little bit more about, the Bible at the time. And at that time, I was curious. I was very curious. And I was going to my grandma. And I spent some time over there in Arizona with her. And I spent that time being curious about what she knew. And she was so in her element. She was aligned to be able to tell me everything she knew about her religion and her beliefs. And we really did connect. And from then we built a relationship that was actually like a really good one. And she'd come over to England. I'd be like, okay, so now let's go on a trip. You and me, we'll go anywhere you want. And she wanted me to take her to Stonehenge. So, yeah. And it's interesting because one thing that I've really learned about people is we're all kind of the same. We all want to be understood and we all want to connect. Like there is that need for connection and a need to be understood.
Definitely.
And we're all trying to go around being understood by everybody, but we're not all trying to understand everybody. And that's where it's at.
Okay.
It's really
Beautiful. So I read that you studied law of attraction. Can you tell us more about this and how we can better use it?
Well, one of the things that I studied when I was at university, when I was studying to be a social worker, was a theory called solution focused theory, and it was actually kind of taught to us through that. And yet at the time, nobody I don't even know if the college or the university professor actually could grasp the concept of what he was teaching. And, something he said was quite profound, yet really nobody really understood it. And it was that you rather than ask questions about the past, it was really focus on the solution. And everybody's in the classes going, well, how can you focus on the solution when you don't know what the problem is? And that stuck with me, but I wanted to understand that really. And I didn't understand, even after passing that particular course, I didn't fully understand what I was talking
Studying.
about. So here it was, this is solution focused therapy, but really, I think it was touching or alluding to the laws of attraction. And so I really had this deep desire to learn and understand that. And what I found was it took, I don't know, let's think. It took some considerable years later before, I think it was about 5 years before I really sort of got a concept of what that was about and what that meant. And so the law of attraction to me, I don't know if have you ever watched the movie The Secret?
The Secret.
Have you ever watched that? Well, it's a movie, it's a book, it's based on a book. And the idea is you manifest what you focus on. And I'm not sure I 100% believe that it's what you focus on. It's the way I kind of look at it. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Wayne Dyer, but I've heard him say this before as well, is it's not what you focus on. It's you manifest what you are. And I really like that concept. So if you're really looking for something in a relationship, then be what you're looking for. Be exactly what you're looking for, and give that frequency off, I guess, or that attract what it is that you actually want. So if I was going to talk about the law of attraction, I would say yes. I mean, focusing on what you truly want is great, and you can, if that causes you to respond or take action on that path, then that's brilliant. And then as you do that, as you take the action, then you will become more and more of what you are focusing on.
Beautiful. If you weren't afraid of anything, what would you do?
It's a good question. because fear is the worst thing that we can all have. It's a very low vibration, I guess. And yeah, that's a good question. I'm not going to lie. Public speaking isn't exactly the area that I'm most free in. So I would say a bit more public speaking would probably be the area that I would like to see myself do with more confidence and drive. How can I put it that way?
Yeah.
I think that's more the thing. But yeah, fear is probably the lowest vibrational frequency that we could be at, right? So and a lot of us are definitely, using fear or walking around with fear, stopping them from stopping us from achieving our dreams, right? And I think it's apt what I think it was Roosevelt said is you have nothing to fear but fear itself. Well, it's so true. It's absolutely true. Yeah, if you can see through your fear and just go do it, then that's where dreams are made into reality.
Beautiful. Wow. Millard. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. We go on a quick short break and we will be right back. Guys, we go on a short break and we will be right back.
Everyone is motivated by the desire to reach for a better feeling emotion, meaning all our actions come from a deep need to feel good, or at the very least to feel better than we already do. We just might not be consciously aware of it. It is time to make your feelings the most important thing in your life.
Hello guys, welcome back. Hey Millard, welcome back. Mill. Can you help us better understand the stock circle?
Okay. So I guess it's a name I coined to a cycle or a pattern of behaviors and subsequent emotions, I think. And so the best way I could describe it is, have you ever heard of Abraham Hicks?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm a huge fan of Abraham Hicks.
I follow them on YouTube.
Oh, awesome. So Abraham Hicks has the emotional scale as a guide, right? And it comes from the belief that every action that we take as humans is to reach for that better feeling emotions. Or at least at the very least, we want to feel good. But if not, we definitely want to feel better than we already do. And so the stuck cycle, I guess the best way to help, I would probably put this back to you. Have you ever been in a situation where you just can't see how to make it feel better? And
yes.
Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
This happened last year, actually. And what the emotions I was feeling was due to depression. I just was stuck in my head, literally, in my head. I was consumed with so much fear and regrets. Every day that I wake up, I just cannot do anything. And one thing I realized was I had to forgive myself, forgive the people that hurt me, and also just let go of fear. Literally, what was going in my head is that when I let go of that thing, I'm going to die. Literally, that was how intense it was. So I had to get to that point where I say, you know what? I am ready to die. Let what wants to happen. And it just felt like I don't know, it's just so crazy. I came back to myself the moment I say to myself, no, I'm not, I am not scared of death. And that was how I started building back my soul and making it stronger again. Yeah, that was
beautiful.
That was for me the should I say the dark nights of the soul. I was going through that. And later I started realizing that I was actually going through a deep spiritual awakening, literally.
I was going to say that sounds like you had an awakening.
Yeah.
It definitely sounded like there was this moment where you just basically, well, you just said it, actually let go. You let it go. And the deepest fear there was, I guess, realized, and you realized that it's not my fear anymore.
Yep.
And once that was the case, nothing else seemed to be as big of a problem, right?
I'm telling you, that was the best thing I did for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story.
Thank you. So back to you. How do we I missed the question again.
Yeah, you were talking about the stuck cycle, and
yes.
So I guess sorry.
How can we better understand the stuck cycle?
So, I kind of look at it like one of a good ways to understand it is when we're in a relationship, right? Now, it could be with our children, it could be with a spouse. So let's pick our children. And so when we see something that they're doing and it's not pleasing to us, then we tell them. Why do we tell them? Because we want to feel better. Watching them doing something that doesn't look good. Let's say you're watching your child take drugs, for example, right? It doesn't make you feel good to see them taking drugs. So you want to stop them taking drugs. Why? Because you have fear. Where's that fear coming from? It's coming from a lot of places. But the fear is, some is very real, is that, the worst case scenario is you don't want to lose them. So you're now responding from a place of loss and fear. And so when you're telling your kid, look, you've got to do this, you're lecturing them, you might be trying to control the behavior in many disciplines. It feels like you're doing something, so that feels like you're being proactive. And that feels better than feeling depressed or feeling sort of disempowered by watching what they're doing and worrying about them. So you do something, you take action. Now, when you take action, they don't really respond well.
Yeah.
And then that lack of response is what causes you to then get angry. Because now what you've done didn't help. So now you're feeling a little bit helpless. So that's when we start feeling like, okay, I'm going to go to an angry place. And it's a subconscious thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's anger's the next thing. So now I'm angry because you won't do what I've asked you to do. And I'm trying to save your life because I can see all these different things. And then what happens is when you get angry, then it doesn't have the desired effect. It can usually provoke even more of a negative response because it's a reactive negative emotion that's triggering that behavior, right? And so then what happens is that kid is going to then probably it's going to be worse in many cases. And that now makes you sad again. Now you're feeling hopeless and helpless and fearful. And you just keep going back around in this spiral of it, getting angry, trying to make things better, being proactive, and you just don't know what to do. You start blaming everybody. Blame feels good too. Like, I'm not going to lie, it's a really nice emotion to feel when it compared to feeling like there's nothing you can do. And so what happens is we keep going back and forth in all these low feeling vibrations as we keep doing different things. And that can be the same if you have a spouse. You keep on trying to change their behavior, but they don't change. You don't want to lose them. Their behavior makes you feel like you're going to lose them. And it just keeps going back and around, getting angry, feeling guilty, depressed. And
being stuck in that. Damn. Wow.
That's how it is.
How beautiful. The not so good emotions, how can we better understand it and use this to our advantage?
Well, I would say that the way to look at your emotions is that they're not bad and they're not good. They're all indicators. Indicators of your progression towards alignment. And alignment is what you're looking for, because when you have full alignment, it doesn't matter how much money you've got. It doesn't matter how much, whatever else you've got, if you've got a relationship, if you don't have a relationship, but if you've got alignment, then you've got joy and you've got freedom, all the high feeling emotions that you're looking for in all of these other things that are the case, right? And so if you're looking at these emotions as just indicators, then you can say, right, there is something going on where I am is not where I want to be. Or you can look at it as what I'm feeling right now is showing me that there's something that I really want to look to. Or I want to. So it's giving you kind of inspiration at times to look for that better feeling emotion and figure out what it is that will help you get there.
Yeah.
And so that's actually a good thing. The challenge for people is that we often believe that we have to be where we want to be in order to get out of this stuck cycle. And unfortunately, you have to already imagine you're there.
Yeah.
Which is hard to grasp for some people, for a lot of people, including myself at times, right? So we've all been there. And even if we consciously think we know the situation and we know what we need to do, our subconscious is at play. And our subconscious is essentially saying, well, this is what is normal, so let's keep doing it.
Yeah.
And so we keep going back to the same behaviors over and over again and keep the same results coming. And we don't understand why, because we think, well, I've consciously made all these, I know that if I do this, I know if I do that, but it doesn't seem to work that way. So that's the stuck cycle.
Wow. Thank you so much for this enlightenment. Thank you. So let's say that you are in the loop of not feeling enough, of self-doubts.
Yes.
What are the ways or steps we can take in getting out of this loop?
Okay, well, the first thing is you can't get there from where you are, right? So when you think, I want to get away from being feeling not enough, well, if you are making a move to get to somewhere from not feeling enough, then you're going to struggle to get there. So the idea is that you can't get to where you want to be with the same mindset, that got you there in the first place. So I would ask you, if you were enough, what would that look like?
If I was enough?
Yeah.
If you asked me this 2 years ago, definitely I would have a good answer for it. Because right now I really do feel enough.
Right. So tell me about you feeling enough.
Me feeling enough is basically just me believing in myself.
Okay.
Believing that no one has the power to make me feel bad, only if I give it to them.
Right.
Yeah.
You know your worth.
It is self-worth. Beautiful.
Right. You know your worth. And so if I was helping somebody to figure out how to be more enough, it would be, if that's what they said to me, I don't feel like I'm enough, then the opposite, if it was you, would be that I have self-worth. I know my value. I know my worth. Okay, so you know your worth. So let's say that. And then I would say, what I usually find is when people have been feeling that they're not enough, it's really hard for them to say that they are. It's really hard because it doesn't come from a genuine feeling of agreement. So you're not in an aligned state of mind when you say it, because there's so much resistance to actually saying, I feel enough. I know my value. I know my worth. And for some people, that's so hard to do. And so what I would do is just help them kind of find the thought that they can actually embrace and they can align with, because it has to be a genuine feeling that it doesn't cause resistance. Because if you resist that thought, then it's really hard for you to get there.
Yeah.
It's a huge challenge. So I would say some people like to make it a little bit, more general and go, every day I am learning my self-worth. Every day I am understanding my value. Every day I am holding on to my power.
Yeah. Beautiful. Wow. What would be your advice to someone that is finding it so hard and difficult to letting go of attachment they have with somebody they love?
I would say they're very normal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be honest, it's
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy letting go of attachments, because
Mm-hmm.
we've forged these attachments through, energetically as well as physically,
Mm-hmm.
spiritually.
Mm-hmm.
So they've come from all different places, and even though they might physically not be there, there's the energetic attachments
Mm-hmm.
that will be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always the easiest thing to do. So I would say that I wouldn't give somebody advice to let it go. What I would give them advice to is to continue to work on what it is that they're looking for,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on that,
Mm-hmm.
rather than focus on what they are. Because if you're experiencing loss, and that's what losing that attachment is, and when you're focusing on that, you're focused on what you're losing, and
Mm-hmm.
and so that's not always an easy thing to just say, oh, I'm not going to do
Sure.
that anymore.
Sure.
And so I would say
Mm-hmm.
the way to do it is to move towards focusing on what you truly want. So, and sometimes we have, look at the relationships that we have. They all give us another opportunity to grow and develop, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's a beautiful thing when you can actually learn more about yourself from the person that you're with. It's
Yeah.
just not a fun thing. I remember having this conversation with my sister after a relationship breakup, and I said, always learning, but you know what? I'm done with learning. I think that's where I was at the time. I think I was in my 20s back then, and I said, I don't want to learn anymore. I just wanted to work, and they're always like, they, as much as we can say that, and it might sound okay, oh yeah, how insightful that we grew as a person, but the truth is, it doesn't feel good when it goes wrong. It doesn't
Yeah.
feel good when we realize we're not aligned with that person. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to try and pry somebody away from a feeling that they're not ready to be pried away from. Sometimes you got to sit in that and accept, you know what, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm a bit sad about something because it didn't work, and I really wanted it to work, So that's how I kind of look at it. So yeah,
Beautiful.
it's focusing on what you do want, and
Beautiful.
and putting all your energy into that,
Energy into that. Yeah.
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 which I think, like, when I look at you and you're doing your talk show, and it's kind of a beautiful thing, because it's about, you have a goal. I'm sure you have a goal, and what you're doing right now is progress. And
Thank you.
while you're doing it's the progress that makes you happy. Because once you get to your goal, you'll have a new goal,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
But
Sure.
while you're making progress, I think Tony Robbins said this: progress is where happiness lies. It's lack of progress is where hurt and depression begin or develop, right? And I think, Tony, I'm paraphrasing. I probably haven't said it right. but-
This just sorry
No,
that I'm breaking your
No,
nose.
it's all good.
This just brought me to the next question. Like, what is the secret of a happy relationship?
Okay, I don't know who's going to like this answer, but the secret of a happy relationship is to bring your happiness to the relationship.
How do we bring the happiness to the relationship? How do we find that happiness in us, in ourselves?
That's the key, and it's really about finding alignment and using your emotions as a guide, and really trusting that you'll figure it out. And so your emotions are a huge guide for your alignment, and your alignment is your happiness. So when, I think Gandhi said this, when you're what you say, think, and do are all in alignment, you will be truly happy. And so how I interpret that is that it's about being genuine and authentic to who you truly are. And when you are totally authentic and genuine to who you truly are, then, you know, if the relationship is going to come, it's going to come when you're where you want to be. And then they'll line up with the genuine, authentic you. And that's what you want. Because we don't want to be spending all our time trying to convince somebody of who we are, do we?
Yeah.
And trying to convince them that we're worthy, that we are worthy, or that we are enough, or that we, you know, we don't want to have to convince that person.
Yeah.
So the secret is to bring your happiness to a relationship, and they bring their happiness to the relationship. That is alignment. Two people aligned, yes. And then the sparks fly, and you go and you have amazing experiences. And you know what? At the end of the day, it can end. It can. But the secret is you've got to figure out how to bring your own happiness to that relationship. Don't expect it from them. And I think that's what a lot of people, they look to a relationship to bring them happiness. True happiness will come from looking in yourself for the happiness, and then taking someone along for the ride if you want. And what a beautiful ride it'll be.
Beautiful, beautiful, Millard. So first, you need to do the self-recovery work. You need to heal. You need to work in yourself. Find who you truly are. Get that happiness from within. And then you're ready to align with your spouse.
Absolutely.
Wow.
It's
I think this is also something that I experienced, like thinking a relationship or that person can bring you the happiness you're missing in your life, but not knowing that that is literally the other way around. Depending on them, that is also where the self-attachment comes from. Wow. Okay, this is really eye-opening. Thank you so much, Millard. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Guys, Millard, Mio. Oh, wow. I love this conversation so much, I'm telling you. We go on a quick short break, and we will be right back for the agree to disagree questions.
Yeah, come talk with us, I say TW. That's what's up. Yeah, come talk with us, I say TW.
Hi guys, welcome back. Hey Millard, welcome back. So
Hi.
Back to the agree to disagree question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Do you believe love at first sight? Do you agree or disagree?
I always think of that chat up line when people say that, because I always think of the chat up line, you know, where you go up to somebody and say, do you believe in love at first sight, or should I come back again? But do I believe in love at first sight? I believe in there's all kinds of things at play. And we have energy below the surface. We have subconscious connections. We have energetic connections, and I think it's possible for people to fall in love at first experience of somebody. I don't know about sight, but to be in the vicinity of somebody, I think, yeah, maybe it's possible.
Okay, beautiful. You know, anytime anytime I feel like I'm so connected to this person, like it's probably my soulmate, I get scared.
Well,
I see this as a warning sign, like, watch out. It's too good to be real.
well,
I know.
I mean, I know somebody that has a similar experience, right? Where every time it's a running joke that they have with me is that, oh, she likes me, it means that she must be, you know, got a few things missing in right? I don't necessarily think that's the case, but that's the joke that this particular person has with me about anybody that finds him attractive, right? And but yeah, I mean, you see it as let's see, a soulmate, which means that you're scared. So there's a fear of loss almost immediately, right? From, if you don't mind me saying, but so the way that the universe would interpret that is to keep giving you what you want, which is essentially what you don't want, right? If you hear what I'm. So I think every day you're meeting more and more people that you align with you and connect with you and understand you and feel you, and feel your authentic you, and you're embracing the alignment daily. And I think that would be the thought that would be what I think is what's happening with you. Is that you're becoming more and more authentic every day, and people are just connecting with you from that authentic, genuine, high energy level.
Okay.
And
wow.
So, and if you go by, I can't remember who was it said it. I think this guy called Van Praag, I think his name was, but he was talking about soulmates because he's one of those people that kind of communicate with the non-physical, I guess. And whether or not you believe it or not, it was an interesting theory that he had, which is that soulmates aren't exactly what we think. They're kind of more of like a agreement that we have before we agree to set forth in the physical form, so to speak, which is these are people who are going to come forth and they're going to be in your life for a certain period of time, and they're going to help you launch a new sort of desire or manifestation, etc., etc. So I thought that was kind of like a beautiful way to look at soulmates. There's not just one, there's lots of them, and they were all sort of an agreement that they would come into your life either for 5 years, 10 years, couple months, and that was a kind of a nice way I thought to look at it. Not like you have to, but I honestly thought that it was a one sort of thought. And the other thought is that as you get more aligned with yourself and more authentic to who you truly are, and you connect with the real you, then more people are going to see the real you. They're going to find you.
Sure.
I think that's
beautiful. Beautiful. Millard, thank you so much for the wisdom. Wow, I love your perspective on these topics. You're incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have come to the end of the show. Guys, we have come to the end of the show. But before we go, Millard, what is your advice for the audience?
Well, the number one thing that I always say is one of the biggest challenges that people have to figuring their situations out is that they are in, like, much of the time just not focused, don't know what it is that they're trying to aim for. And so what I do with them is I create a wish list. That's one of my tools with my clients. Is the wish list is essentially taking key areas of your life and looking at what it is that you actually want from in that area. So let's just say, for example, we're looking at finance, and they say, well, I want to be debt free. It sounds positive. And I would say, right, but the only thing with that is the universe kind of works in a certain way. It works to say, right, whatever you say yes or no to, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to always say yes. And so if you're saying, I want to be debt free, you're coming from a place of debt, which is a place of, well, for many people, it kind of feels like it's lacking freedom. So they're feeling kind of, stuck in a feeling. And so the way I would look at it is your wish list is about trying to create the emotion that you're really looking for. And so you're not looking to be debt free. You're looking to be financially free. You're looking for freedom. And that feeling that, what would you feel like if you had no debt? I would feel like I have joy, or I don't know what's coming to your mind. Whatever's coming to your mind would be, what you would essentially be aiming for. So the wish list is really about just trying to get yourself focused on what you really, really want to feel. That's the first step anyway. And so once you've got that, then you can move toward it. And when you've got something to move toward, and you know you're moving toward, then you're making progress. And if you're making progress, then you're happy.
Wow. If you're making progress, you are happy. Beautiful.
Because I bet you ever had those moments where you sit at home and you're like, you go, oh, if only I was doing this, this, and this instead of doing that. And you start beating yourself up, and you're not feeling good about it. You feel like your desires and your goals are so far away because you're not making that progress. And that's what it's about. When you stop making progress, you become more, and that can be in your relationship. It can be in any area of your life, really. I mean, if you are looking to having this future with somebody, then you've got to have, if you don't have any dreams together that you're making progress on, as well as individual goals that you're making progress on, then the relationship will get it will shrink. And then eventually you'll go your own separate ways. Wow. If you're in a relationship where you've got joint goals, moving towards the same, you're moving in the same direction, and you're making progress, you're a happy couple.
Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that, Millard. Where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram. So, and I'm hoping you'll probably put it on your show for people to
definitely.
That'd be awesome. So, if they find me on Instagram, they can by all means follow me and
reach out
and in my DMs and ask for a session. I do now offer a free first session, so if anybody wants to try that, if they just tell me they saw me on the Osasi TV show, and I'll let them know how they can get a free first session.
Beautiful.
And then they can.
Guys, please go check him out on Instagram. Are you looking to finding what you truly want? DM him. I believe you're very quick with your response. Follow him, DM him, and book a session. We have come to the end of today's show. Millard, our amazing guest, thank you so much. I know how busy you are, but thank you so much for being here. I'm truly grateful. Thank you.
And if you want to do this again, please reach out. I'll be happy to do it again.
Thank you.
Anytime.
I'll be thrilled to have you back for sure. Thank you so much.
I'd be thrilled to be back.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, guys. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Click on the bell notification. You know that bell. Please click on it so you'll be the first to be notified whenever we upload a new video. There is love in sharing. And thank you guys for staying with us.